The Book Am-Duat. Chapter 5. Duat, Ament. In the scene that illustrates the fifth division of the Duat, which is passed through by the sun god during the fifth hour of the night, we see the boat of the sun being drawn along by 7 gods and 7 goddesses. The legend over the 7 gods is partly broken away, but what remains of it proves that it must have been similar in meaning to that which is over the heads of the goddesses, which reads, "These are the goddesses which tow Ra along in the Duat over this circle, and they make this great god to advance so that he may rest anew in the Duat." In front of the 7 goddesses march 4 gods, who appear to be under the guidance of Aset of Ament, and who are described as the great sovereign chiefs who provide food in this circle. The first god is called Herku, and holds a staff in his hand, the second is Anhetep, and holds the scepter in his hand, the third is Haruhekwi, is hawk-headed, and holds the crook in his hand. The fourth is Utmetu, and holds a tree in his left hand. The text containing the address of the sun god to the 7 gods is broken away, and all that remains of it reads, "This great god makes his journey by means of those who tow him over this circle in his boat." A portion of the answer of the 7 gods to him is also broken away, but what remains of it reads, "Is open to you the earth to such an extent that you have passed over the beautiful land, and the roads concerning which Ra have spoken to you, O Asar. You cry out, O Ra, to the land of Seeker, and Heru have life upon his sands. Come to Khepra, O Ra. Come to Khepra. Work you with the cord, O you who make Khepra to advance, so that it may give the hand to Ra while he passes over the hidden ways of Ra, in the horizon. Come in peace, O Ra of the beautiful Ament." In the middle of the scene we see that the ground rises and forms a kind of hollow mound, the highest point of which terminates in the head of a woman, which faces to the right. Immediately above her head is a scarab which is in the act of descending, but only one half of its body is visible. Concerning the beetle, it is said, "Behold Khepra who, immediately the boat of Ra is towed to the top of this circle, unites himself to the roads of the Duat. When this god stands on the head of the goddess he speaks words to Seeker every day." The short lines of text just above the mound read, "The majesty of this great god journeys on by being towed along, and these goddesses receive him." Words which are addressed to the god by the goddesses are, "Come, O Ra, in the peace of the Duat. Let Ra advance on the road in the boat which is in the earth, in his own body, and let his enemies be destroyed." The goddess Ament cries to you, O Ra, so that you may join her, and may go forwards in the sky as the great one who is in the horizon, and may be towed along by those who tow you, and, verily, may destroy all your enemies. This address Ra replies, saying, "O you who have received your weapons, O you who have grasped your scepters, O you who shake your spears, O you who stand by your shafot food, who sit down to your offerings, who are the warders of food and bread and are the lords of the provisions in Ament, Aset gives herself to you, and Ament joins herself to you, so that I may stand up by you for your protection when I pass by you in peace." The land of Sekri, which is mentioned by the 7 gods who are towing the boat of Ra, lies immediately below the mound of earth, and forms, as it were, an oval island in the river of the Duat. Its shape is an elongated ellipse, and it is formed wholly of sand. The land of Sekri is described in the legend which is written at each end of the oval as the horizon of the hidden country of Sekri, which guarded the hidden body. This mysterious oval is supposed to rest upon the bodies of 2 man-headed lion sphinxes set tail to tail. Of these, however, only the heads and 4 quarters appear, one at each end of the oval. Each sphinx is called off, and he is said to have his existence from the voice of the great god, and his work is to keep ward over his image. Within the oval already described is stretched out at almost full length on the ground a monster serpent which has 2 snakes' heads at one end of his body, and a bearded human head at the other. The text above his snakes' heads is mutilated, and all that can be made out satisfactorily are the words Neter Aa, Great God. From the middle of his body springs a pair of wings, and between them, immediately under the female head at the top of the mound, stands the god Sekri, in the form of a hawk-headed man. Of him it is said, his work is to protect his own form, and of the serpent, he lives upon the magical protection which issues from his mouth every day. The text which refers to the oval reads, "The image which is in this picture is in thick darkness. The dawn in the horizon which belongs to this god comes from the eyes of the heads of the great god, whose flesh sends forth light, and whose legs are bent round, the great god who keeps ward over the flesh of Sekri, who is on his sand, his own image. The voice of this horizon is heard in this hour after this great god have passed them by. like to the sound of the roaring which are in the heights of heaven when they are disturbed by a storm. On the left of the horizon of Sekri is the serpent Tepin, who lives by the voice of the primeval gods of the earth. He comes forth and he goes in, and he presented the offerings made to this great god every day unseeing and unseen. On the right of the horizon is the serpent Ankapau, who lives upon the flames which issue from his mouth. His work is to protect the horizon, and he never entered into any house of the Duat. Immediately in front of this serpent are 4 seated gods, of whom the heads of 2 are turned behind them. They are described as the gods who hold the secret forms of Sekri, who is on his sand. The first holds on his knees the white crown, the second the red crown, the third the head of the ram of Haru-Sheshephet, and the fourth the plumes of Shu, or some other god of light and dryness. The legend above them reads, their forms are in the place among them in their own bodies. They follow after this great god unseeing and unseen. Behind the serpent Tepin are 4 human bearded heads, each with a mass of fire upon the top of it, which project from the long, narrow lake called Netu. These are called the blazing heads. Along the lake are written, in 2 methods of writing, the gods who are in the Amahet weep when the boat has passed them by, on its way to the Duat, and the waters which are here are like to fire to those who are in them. 1. The goddess Ament, standing with her arms stretched out in front of her at right angles to her body, and wearing the feather of Maat on her too. A group of 9 large axes, 4 are broken away, the foremost surmounted by the crown of the north, and the hindmost by the crown of the. The mutilated speech of the god written above them reads, give me your hand Ament. Good is this water which leads to the tomb where rest the gods. Hail exist you, O 9 gods who have come into being from my flesh and have not come into being from your own forms, and who are firm in respect of your food. I avenge you, do you avenge me? 3. The god who is the guardian of those who are submerged. 4. The god Seishu. 5. The god Ankabi hawk-headed. 6. The god Bathrest crocodile-headed. 7. The god Anpenny jackal-headed. Of these 5 gods it is said, they act as guardians of Duat, and of those who are submerged in the Duat, and they protect and make to pass on the boat. To these the sun god makes an address, which reads, this great god says, O you who stand by your waters, who keep ward over your lands, who go around about in the pool of those who are submerged in Nu, pilot you these to the lands of the sea of the Duat, to your waters which never dry up, and rise you up in your lands, and let me travel over you in peace. This great god says, O you, lift up your weapons to you image, and protect you the foreheads of your Maat, and perform you your work, in order that I may be able to pass by you in peace. 8. Immediately in front of the god Anpenny is an object which looks like a chamber with a rounded roof, but whatever it may be, it is filled with sand, and from the fact that the sign of night, or darkness, appears at the top, we may conclude that it represents some form of the dark underworld of Sekir. To each side of it a hawk clings by his claws, and from the lower part of it emerges the scarab, which has already been mentioned. 9. A huge serpent, the 2 heads facing the object described under number 8. Of him it is said, he lives by Ra every day, he traveled over every place of Maat in the Duat, and it is he who sets himself in opposition to the scarab. To this serpent Ra says, hail, you serpenter, whom I myself have fashioned, open you to me your folds wherewith you have doubly sealed the earth to protect me, and march you against those who are in my following, in order that I may pass by you in peace. 10. The god Bafur Keftiu, ram-headed. 11. The god Ayuhuraptisu, who holds a lasso in each hand. 12. The god Anat, wearing a feather of Maat. 13. The god Ubwi, with his head turned behind him, he is provided with a shade. 14. The god Amu, bull-headed. 15. The god Set, bull-headed. 16. The god Sent Nephamenchu. 17. The god Hatep-Neteru. Of these 8 gods it is said, they stand by at the annihilation of the dead in the Duat, and their work is to burn up with fire the bodies of the dead by the flames from their mouths in the course of every day. 18. A goddess, standing upright, with her hands stretched out to the top of the head of a man who is kneeling before her, and is cutting open his head with a hatchet. The goddess is called and lives upon the blood of the dead, and upon that which the gods give. The text of the speech which the god makes to the 8 gods reads, the majesty of this great god says to them, hail, you who stand at the blocks of torture, and who keep ward at the destruction of the dead, you whose voices have come into being for you, who have received your words of power, who are endowed with your souls, who sing spells to the accompaniment of your sistra, who take vengeance on the enemies, who annihilate the dead, who hack in pieces shades of men and women, who destroy and cut in pieces the dead, who avenge Asar and listen to words near a Nefer, provide you yourselves with your slaughtering knives, fetter and bind with your hands this figure which is with you, so that I may journey past you in peace. Whosoever knows this shall pass by the goddess in peace. The entrance into the 6th division of the Duat is made through a door in the lower register, which is guarded by a serpent who opens it himself. Here, too, appears the large 5-rayed star which is the symbol of the planet Venus, and is described as the living god which journeys, and traveled.